Ready? Oh, there's a few more steps. This step with a necklace. Very hard to remember. Okay, sounds great. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Oh wait, I have the string here. Sorry. Again, let me start from the beginning because the string was falling. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. It's in the beginning, Pina. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Adar. Nisani Asivan Tammuz Av Elul. Tishra Cheshvan Kislev Tevet Shvat Yeah, I have to practice my voice. I may have to lead Friday night prayers and things like that, which I'm not so, I always come late, so I hope I remember the melodies. It would be great if you would help me there, but we can't do that. I know I want, but it's not possible. Okay, so we're passing around the box. Meanwhile, there is a question about putting on makeup on Shabbat. Okay, so that is a very, very good question. I'm not an expert in this. It's a big question for me myself, actually, at this point, because it's hard. I'm going to be teaching on Shabbat, women that don't know me, and I feel a little better if I just have a little eyeliner on, okay? But I understand you are not allowed to put on makeup on Shabbat, so I don't put on makeup on Shabbat, generally. You're allowed to drink beet juice right before you want to have lipstick on. You're allowed to do things like that because this is like a way of eating, okay? What is the malacha of makeup? It's not just painting, it's smearing. It's smearing. You go like, and that is one of the 39 malachot. You could check on that. And so that's very hard, and most people in America don't keep it. One of the advice that they have is get a special makeup that's 24-hour. Okay, it doesn't work for me. I don't use lipstick and all those things. I just use eyeliner or like eyes shadow, and they never stay. I don't know if any product would stay in my eyes because I kind of like cry and tear and like I don't know. It just. Even like I put on makeup, I don't even take it off. It got in the morning, I put it on, not even in the morning, in the middle of the day, before I come to teach. And I come back at night before I go to bed. I have cotton and I use actually coconut oil to take it off, no synthetic things. And it's already off by itself. But of course, I'm not using the 24-hour one. I don't know exactly where to buy it, and I've been thinking about that. Then I remember another thing. When I used to live in Queens, we lived in Queens for 2.5 years, and people told me, and it has like a picture of some Haredi Rav that you can buy. What?
Shabbos makeup.
Shabbos makeup. What do you know about Shabbos makeup? Bella, you want to come up and say? Because I don't know so much. I only can share you that experience, that what people said, and there was a rabbi who agreed to it. who was like certifying it. So what do you know about Shabbos makeup? You can get it in America. I don't think you can get it so many other places.
So the Shabbos makeup is a type of makeup that is made of powder. So instead of smearing on your foundation or whatever, you put powder. You
pat it.
You pat it down. You look more matte. If you look oily on Shabbos, and then also lipstick. You can't rub lipstick. So there's certain types of lipsticks where you can just
it's like a powder kind of.
Yeah, it's either a powder or a little, I don't know, maybe liquid, like a stainer, a lip stainer.
And so,
you can't stain on Shabbos.
So and that's the thing about coloring also.
Yeah.
That doesn't solve coloring, but that's exactly what I remember from Queens. And I bought it even one time. One time I bought this powder that you dab it on just like an eyeshadow powder. You don't smell it, you dab it on. And that was supposed to be okay. So I'm not sure if it's a problem of painting, because that wouldn't help. You're still painting, So it seems like smearing is the main problem.
So what I would definitely do if I was in the position, I would look up Shabbos makeup. I would look up something on the halacha, like ask a Reb or Shaila.
So that's something to do in an airport.
Yeah.
If they don't have time. But maybe right now. Someone can do it during class. Google it. Google it also. Make up Shabbat Malacha. I'm Googling that, but you can Google the other thing, Shabbos. I want to just see why it's not painting, what it says here. Applying makeup on Shabbat generally involves purposes of tzoveya, dyeing, coloring, and memachek, smoothing, smearing. So it's both. Most traditional authorities forbid applying liquid makeup, lipstick, blush, or mascara because they add color and smooth a substance into the skin, which is considered a lasting or potentially lasting action. So what about here, about coloring? I'm going to read for you here what it says, okay? Coloring applied pigmented cosmetic, eyeliner, blush, lipstick, violates this prohibition as it colors the skin. Smoothing, smearing creams, lipstick violates this as it smooths the surface. Duration. While some argue that if makeup is meant to be wiped off immediately, it's only a rabbinic prohibition. Most authority poskim maintain it forbidden to apply makeup on Shabbat. Permitted and prohibited items. Forbidden liquid foundation, concealer, mascara, lipstick, eyeshadow, blush, and most creams. Allowed, permitted with caution. Some authorities allow non-sticky, non-pigmented powder to apply. So it's not solving the coloring part. That's my problem.
You can't even put moisturizer on.
Depends. If it's absorbed in the skin, you're allowed. But if it stays like a layer outside of the skin, that's a problem. I have a lot of hardship with that. Shabbos makeup. Some products are formulated for or approved by certain halachic authorities for use on Shabbat. Often powders that do not fall under the strictures of smoothing or lasting color. Okay, so the way they get around the thing with coloring is it's not a lasting color. It's temporary. So, but these should be checked individually. Removal. It's generally permitted to remove makeup on Shabbos, preferably without squeezing the cleansing cloth or cotton ball. Okay? So that was about that. Okay, you have another question?
I'm seeing it.
What?
I googled it, Shabbos makeup, and there's a whole line of powdered eyeliner, powdered lipstick.
Now send it to me.
Blush. Oh, the eyeliner? Yes.
Well, yeah, send the whole thing to me. But so it's a question. I'm going to discuss some authorities hold that the coloring is not a problem because it's not a lasting color. But not necessarily everyone agrees to it, right? That's what it sounds from what I read to you, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, you got a new question? How many questions happen?
You have to brace yourself to all on the same topic.
Okay, here, question. What if I'm not on my period? Can I be with my boyfriend?
We have to read everything, right?
There's 3 questions here already. I just took all the questions away, they were old. We learned that if I never went to the mikveh. We discussed that in depth. I had a whole class about that. Who remembers what we learned?
so no, you can't do
We
that.
thought we saw all the sources. I gave you all the sources for it.
I was in
Yeah.
True. That remember I told you after the class I was like you want to make sure like
there.
that. That was the whole class about Shimon and Gail.
And about exactly because this came up because of what I discussed with you. I made a class from it. I respond to what my students are, are discussing and want to know. So of course the answer is of course no. The period is not finishing. The period does not mean that the woman is not in nida. I'll repeat what we already learned. All single women are nida because today single women don't go to the mikvah. The mikvah, when a married woman goes to the mikvah, when is the time to go to the mikvah?
After your period.
Not just after your period.
7 days after.
7 clean days that you have to count, and you have to wear white undergarments, and you have to check yourself with a white cotton cloth inside of the vagina morning and before sunset. But if you forgot, the first day and the 7th day are the most important day. The other ones won't invalidate you to going to the mikvah, but the first and the 7th day may invalidate. Those have to happen. And so it's 12 days, 5 days of the period, including spotting, and 7 days clean days. Then a married woman, has the mitzvah to go to the mikvah. She should not prolong. And she should also make it, there's also ways to make sure it can stay within the 12 days and not be more. It's a easy way is a douche. That's what I was taught when I learned color classes, and you use like a douche there's one, the same one that is an enema, but there's another device for the vagina, and you clean really good before sunset on the 7 days, so that there won't be any old blood that could show on the bedika cloth. That's what it's called, the checking cloth. It won't be able to show if it's old, but only if new blood. Old blood, you can clean it out that way. So that way you can ensure that it's not 13 days, but hopefully stays 12 days. So yeah, someone who's single are not allowed to go to the mikvah. We also talked about having premarital sex is considered, what did we say? Maybe you remember it?
Forbidden.
Yeah, and what was it considered besides forbidden?
Marriage?
It's considered prostitution.
Oh,
Znut.
sex is prostitution.
It does not, prostitution, also Ari Kaplan says that, does not depend on getting payment or not payment for the act.
It could be free.
It means a woman that is loose and is with a man that is, great, that is not her husband, sanctified under the chuppah and, with kiddushin, holiness. So it's sexuality without holiness. It is called prostitution, okay? Because it is in Hebrew znut. Zona is a prostitute. Znut derived from the same word. So it was a question that was asked. So therefore, and for that reason, a single woman is not allowed to go to the mikvah, so she won't take lightly this prohibition. So that there should be, Jewish women wear a bat melech, a daughter of the king, because we're not just like the animals that act upon our instincts. The whole purpose of what our holy spiritual work is, in order to really connect truly with Hashem, and not just imaginary like ecstasy, feeling high on Hashem, but truly is that we can overcome our instinctual nature that we share with the animals. Nefesh behemit, we share it with the animals. You have somebody you're attracted to, you want to be with him, have physical closeness, even if you are trying to make sure you don't actually go all the way. It's still, that is not so easy in any case. A lot of people had that goal. I'm not going to have sex before, the real sex before marriage. I'm just going to have a little bit of fun, but not the real one. That I'm going to save until after marriage. Lots of people had that in mind, and it didn't work. Okay, didn't work for a lot of people because playing with fire, and so we have the guidelines that the Torah gives us. That is also halacha. First of all, it is from the Torah. It doesn't say don't have intercourse with someone that you're not allowed to have intercourse with. It says don't come close to reveal her nakedness. Lo tikarev legalot ervata. What does it mean to come close to reveal her nakedness? What does it mean? Any kind of touch that's endearment. It does not endearment like loving touch. Any touch that is it could even it depends what the intention. So like shaking hands may or may not be endearing touch. So there are some people who allow shaking hands because it's polite and you don't have any feelings. Maybe, I'm just saying that's like a borderline thing. But and any kind, and maybe even for the French people, the mwah mwah.
For the French people, the French section.
But that's maybe that's some people will allow that. Not that I personally would allow it, but I'm trying to give you a fair, view of the point is like going to the dentist for sure is usually not pleasurable touch. You have to go like this and like that and like this and like that, and a little bit more. But going to the doctor is not pleasurable touch. Usually could be, and if that that could be, and that is not allowed to be. There's a lot of being harassment. And that's why today doctors don't go alone to examine patients with physical exam. They have someone with them. I went to get a breast exam like many years ago. And even though I had my husband with me, the specialist, I had to be in a place with a curtain. And he took the nurse with him inside of the curtain to check that he was doing it appropriately, because there's been a lot of cases where people have actually sued doctors for inappropriate touch. So it could be, like Baruch Hashem, I never experienced that. Okay, yes, Juliet.
It's actually.
Do you want to come up here and say?
It's a very small question.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah, come up if you don't mind.
I wanted to ask if when it's like. I guess like there's two types of touch that I want to know if there's something written about it. One that is more like you see someone like crying, you see someone like having a really hard time, like really like suffering with something, and like I want to like tachlis, like I can speak to people, but I know that sometimes like my words are not what's needed, and sometimes just like even just a hand like this, or just like grabbing the hand, or even giving a hug, like kilu tachlis in that moment, like there's no like it's because like that person is suffering, and like the touch is like giving something that is regulating the nervous system, that is like giving that person like some kind of like
I understand. The question is a very good question. So because the question is it endearment? Is it have any kind of sexual undertone? So in this case, from your perspective, it is more like a motherly kind of comforting touch.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And I understand. That's from your perspective, but you don't know what it will do to the other person's feeling, how he will take it. The boy. You could be this like, he could be a young boy even, and like, but just like in puberty and being used to not have a touch of a woman. Here comes this cute, curly haired, sweet girl that, wow, it feels my whole body is tingling. You don't know how he's feeling, okay? That's the problem. And so these are the gray areas. I know that Rav Shlomo Carlebach, that's what he did. Like he would help a lot of people that were in trouble, and he would touch men and women and he claimed in that way. There's been a lot of cases against him. Even his own daughter wrote that it didn't work out always like what he had in mind originally.
He did something to his daughter?
No, she testified that she knew about the women that complained. I mean, that's with all due respect to Rav Shlomo Carlebach, and I want to say lashon hara about him. I personally am undecided if it was true or if it wasn't true what he did. I'm just saying there's claims against him about it just because it's pertinent to the question that you have, because it was exactly what he claimed that he had in mind, to comfort people that really were lonely and sad and needed just some comfort. I can testify that he didn't do it to people, to women, because I saw him several times, and he never tried to touch me. Like he didn't do it stomp to all women.
Yeah.
And only to women that he felt needed it. But there has been like claims, and I don't know if they're true or not true. I just know that Neshama, this was out, and his daughter knew about it, and he wrote about it too. So it's not. So it's like out. So it's not a lashon hara because this was like articles that was to the public. But I have so much respect for Rav Shlomo Carlebach. So I decide to stay undecided about what actually happened. But I'm using this as an example that you just never know, and it's best to just find other ways to comfort the person that's not physical, or have try to get some of the same sex to give that kind of hug.
And if it is not just like, okay, you see the person randomly and they're having a very rough emotional moment, but it is betoch tipulim, like from like.
But if you're a professional and you're professional, there are people that allow it.
Okay.
This is like a doctor,
Right.
and it's a professional. If you're a professional and you're getting paid, it's not
So
that
it's
kind
not
of professional, like not. I'm gonna call on Teacher Bella, but I just wanted to say one thing. Oh, and now I'm almost forgetting it. It is about. So it says also in halakha, there's a case. We have these books with all the halachot in English of Ellingson. They're on the shelf over there of women's, where it talks about different topics and halachot about also shoma negia, not touch. And they give an example there of a chasid shoteh. What does that mean? Like a pious who's like a foolish pious person, and that is a woman is drowning in the sea, and he said, "Oh, you can't touch her." Okay, so here we go to the other extreme. So here,
What happened to the princess in Thailand? One of the princesses, like 40 years ago. So there's a rule that you're not allowed to touch her. So she fell in the pool, and she drowned, and they would just watched her drown.
the Japanese are not allowed to touch her. Why?
And
They're not even Jewish.
It's not. I don't know. It's just about respect and everything. And the king said, "You did, like, it's good that you guys did this."
It was good.
It's the law not to touch her.
Okay, so that's why the difference between other people's laws.
This is the story.
Okay, well, that's very good you bring the story, because this is a very, very good example of the difference between the Torah and like laws in other places, other people's laws, whatever their laws is, wherever they come from. But the Torah, there's always something higher. There's always a flexibility that certain laws have to bend for other laws. Like even Shabbat has to be broken to save a life. How much more so? Shoma Negia has to be broken to save a life. And someone who would be like that, and there are people like that. Oh no, I can't touch her. She's too pretty. I may, have a reaction. Forget it. That's not about you now. It's about saving her. Okay? So, but that's when it's coming to saving lives. That's not the same as someone who needs a comfort. Okay? So you try to give the comfort in other ways. It's my opinion. Okay, now Picha Bella. Oh no, you had a question.
I had a question, but I forgot. But go ahead.
Okay, so now Diana.
So I'm thinking about a specific example of a friend of mine who grew up very reformed. And so then she started becoming more religious as she grew older. And so then one of the things she did was she started to keep like Shema Negia.
Is it long? You should come up here because no one can hear you. Here, I'll move. Be careful the guitar. I'll just move to here so it's easier. And you get okay, you came this way.
Hi. My question is pertaining of like how do you grow towards that goal of being completely shomer if that's not what you're used to? And I'm thinking about this friend who grew up reform, who didn't keep any halacha and then started to. She wanted to get there, shomer negia, but it was very hard for her to do that. Like she would just be talking like that, and she would like kind of do like this with like her male friends, and so
Shomer negia, that means I'm keeping touch, meaning I'm keeping away from touch.
Exactly. And so for her, she found it very hard to go from like, I don't even think about it, I'm just like this, to like, I don't touch a man ever. So how would a person that's in that place that wants to get there, but it's like noticing the challenges, get there? Like how can you like slowly purify the touch so that it's not completely like, I'm never touching a man again, because that's hard even in like, not even sexually, but just like if you're not used to it and you're just talking like this, again, I'm talking like this and maybe I'm going like that. And so how can you, what are some concrete steps or practical things you can do to get there when you want to
Okay, so I did the same thing, but I did it when I was young, when I was 19.
Right.
I was used to, I had boys as friends and girls as friends, and I used to also touch everyone just like now. I don't even remember because it's so long ago. I didn't have any steps. I just knew that's out. Okay, and I guess I also didn't have like I didn't like hang out with boys anymore. So that made it easier. Like I was moved countries, so my old friends were in the old country, and in the new country I had girlfriends. I didn't have male friends that I'm talking to like that. So that's in my. You have an idea, Faggy, for that?
No, I just said I had a personal. Like I started keeping shomer when I was in Thailand, and I was with almost only goyim, and no one understood. In Israel, you say, "Oh, I'm shomer," people understand the concept, but for a guy, it's like doesn't make any sense. Like,
for non-Jews, she's saying it's not making sense to them. She was trying to keep not
it's so hard.
not touching.
Boys and girls, it's just the environment. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it.
Yeah.
And I remember in the beginning, I really, really tried, and then I was like, I will distance. I will never approach and be the one to do it. But if there's some times you can't avoid it. Like
sometimes that if you are in a company of non-Jews that don't understand the concept, I have to, because I know you don't. I'm not making you come up, so I have to do this. So if there is any kind of if you have non-Jewish friends of the other sex, or even some Jews that are not used to it, not everybody knows it, depends what circle you're in, then it's very difficult. Like, so she's saying she was not taking an initiative to touch anyone, but sometimes they touched her, right? So that's what you said.
It was like a constant battle to think about it and pay attention, and it was just like, it was draining just to constantly think, where am I passing, how am I passing? And for me, it's not anything sexual or anything, it's just like, it has nothing to do. So for me, I was like, I'm taking a break. And now I don't have this problem because I'm not in an environment with boys. And even if I would be, they would understand what shomer is, so they have respect for it.
Okay, I think one of the cues really is to choose what environment you're going to be in. Like you're saying, now you're not in that environment anymore. Like, I personally, that's what happened to me. I wasn't in the environment anymore. And that's how I could do the real true tshuva, of being like going from one extreme. I was a really extreme. I was into all freedom, no clothes, and giving each other a massage in a circle, men and women. Like I was into all that stuff. And before I was 19, and then I naked. People were naked even in islands. That's what they do in Denmark. That's really very asexual. They're just natural.
I was gonna say, I feel like Nordics are very asexual.
You have to go if you want to go to a beach. If you want to go to a beach in Denmark that doesn't have nudes, you can't hardly find any beach that it's forbidden to be nude on. I grew up like that, and but I changed environments. I just, I came to Israel, so. That helped a lot. I think it is important to choose what your environment is. If you want to truly grow, you have to think, who are the people you want to be connected with that will help you to get closer to the true Hashem and to the true Torah way. It's important. What? Yeah. Right.
drown it within yourself and with your new say, because if it's just because you're not exposed to it, then it's like you're not exposed to
Okay,
it.
so it is a true point. I have to paraphrase here. That she said the true test is how do you handle a situation when you're outside of your comfort zone with people who are like-minded. Can you withstand that test? And so I'm going to be doing that. I think. I think. No, you don't know how people are in Florida. Anyone know?
People are very religious in Florida.
What?
People are very religious.
There's different levels. In any case, I think it's still very important. Okay, what? Did I miss something?
Latinos are very sexy.
I misheard something she said, and I thought it was really, really funny.
Okay, so I don't know what the funny part was, but I want to relate to what Juliet said about, I think it's still important to have your main peer group where you mainly have the chizuk, and that will strengthen you in what the Torah and what the halacha teach you, and then when you go out of that to go to people that are different, you have the power of and the strength of what you received in your peer group, in your midrashah, and whoever the people that you feel you connect with that are working in Kiddusha. And then it's in your background, and when you go out, you go to other people, you can actually strengthen them instead of falling into that trap, hopefully. But there is a saying, we also discussed that when we learned about it some while ago, En apotrophos la'arayot, which means there's no way that a person, I forget how to translate apotrophos. There's no way a person can really trust themselves about arayot, forbidden sexual relationship, because it's such a strong drive that no one should even think nobody is clean of it. Whether it's in action, in speech, or in thought. There's nobody that's clear of that. And that's why there are so many laws in the actual Torah, not just the rabbis. Don't come close to reveal her nakedness. Don't come close, because that's if a person comes close, which means any kind of touch that is for endearment, meaning that has a sexual undertone. It could even be like this, but if it's like this, okay?
I can't do this.
It depends what the intention. I mean, you can't do this, no, but it depends what the intention is, whether it's a prohibition from the Torah or not. If you don't feel any endearment from this, so it's not a prohibition for lotikrav. What?
It's not only for men.
No, men and women biyachat. We're not talking about homosexuals right now. That's a different topic.
There's no shomer negia for
No,
women.
not for regular.
What if someone's a lesbian? Let's have a friend that's a lesbian.
Okay, but we weren't. We should go into that topic now. If that's a whole other topic, that's a long topic. I need to give you all the sources for that. I did. No, not for her.
No, let's say I have a friend, not Juliet.
who's lesbian. So you have to also be careful, because you don't want her to get arousal from your touch, even if you don't care. It's two ways. Touch is two ways. You have to think about the other person too.
I have a question.
Okay, Diana.
Are you allowed to lie for the sake of shomer negia? So my example is, when I worked in Spain, no matter how much I explain religious reason I don't touch men, they don't understand. So I started telling people that I was a germaphobe.
That you were what?
And that they got. They're like, okay, we don't touch
Germatos? I like if that you have what is that you said, that you had a contagious disease?
She's scared of germs.
But a contagious disease, that's what you said?
No, I was
Germs.
like, I'm germaphobe, being that you're scared of germs, so I just wouldn't shake hands
Ah.
with people. I would just be like, ah. Then I would sometimes.
Okay, I think that's allowed in
It
this
would be
case.
like the matter, like you think I'm dirty, and then you shake women's hands. Yes, ma'am. I think you're.
Yeah, it's just mad.
No, I think, I mean,
Understood.
I think that makes sense. Now just remember in Corona how everybody managed not to touch anyone. Not everybody, but in certain circles, everybody managed it. I myself, I didn't touch anyone. At the same time, there was a whole big case with a Rebbetzin and a lesbian affair in Australia or something. Remember that during Corona? So I had all the reasons. I thought I'm never going to touch anyone ever because that was so terrible. It was a Rebbetzin, and they complained that she harassed her students. Okay, I was so scared of that. So I said, okay, Corona, no touch, just like hi, okay.
What, that your students are lesbians?
No, dude, that she was scared.
I did not want to be condemned of anything, so it was just a terrible case. It's such a chilul Hashem.
Have you tried karate kicking them?
Massive.
Wait, what happened?
There was during Corona also, something like that.
Question.
Okay, now your question for Bija Bella.
Am I allowed to watch porn because I'm a woman?
Porn?
Am I allowed to watch porn?
No. Nobody's allowed to watch porno, men and women. And I tell you where there's a Torah prohibition. What it says, okay, this is a Torah prohibition. It says, in the paragraph we say after Shema, it's in Devarim somewhere. It's from the Torah, what we say. Lo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem. Don't turn after your hearts and your eyes. Okay? From this pasuk they learn you're not allowed to watch anything that will, men or women, that will cause you sexual arousal. Okay?
Hold on.
And we're even not allowed to watch animals mate.
But women are allowed to. So
No, women are not allowed to.
women are not allowed to touch themselves. Says who?
And they also learn that from this pasuk that women are not allowed to masturbate. They learn it from that pasuk.
This is not true. How is that?
I have the sources for all of that, okay? But I'm not. I don't have them here at this moment. But that is learned out from this very pasuk. And don't let your hearts go astray. Don't let your heart and your eyes go astray. And from this it's learned that it's not actually the masturbation of women are not the same degree as the masturbation of men prohibited, but it's still a Torah prohibition from this pasuk, not the actual touch, but the imagination and the fantasies that go with the touch, because that's going after your heart and after your eyes. I have it. I taught it many years. So if there's something I'm not sure about, I will tell you I'm not sure. Like I wasn't 100% sure about all the things from the makeup on Shabbos, as you saw. But this I'm sure. And I tell you one more thing, that Arizal, I saw the source inside and I translated it. Arizal says, you know that when a man spills seeds, so that's very serious. And that's why it's more serious when a man masturbates than when a woman.
Why is it more serious?
Because he creates.
Tell me.
I wanna hear.
Okay.
Wait, but I haven't finished my question because that doesn't even make logical sense.
Well, you don't know all information, so I let me finish explaining it. You don't have the information, so of course it doesn't make sense. If you want to listen, open yourself to hear the information, then it will make sense. If you don't put your anti on it and just listen, because I have the information and I can prove it to you at a different time, but I don't want to take the time of the class for me to find it in my files now.
So let me explain the question a bit further. It literally makes no logical sense.
No, but that's not a question. That's a projection.
Because the men are allowed to masturbate, they're just not allowed to come.
Men are not allowed to masturbate.
They are, because at what point do you determine from it?
The men are not allowed to masturbate.
Yeah.
You can't, there's no line, so they draw the line at that. But then obviously you use your logical sense. You're like, okay, fine, obviously logically that makes no sense, so then you don't do that first. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. I'm trying not to be too graphic here. But with women, how do you I'm not even asking, I'm just saying that there's no line that you can draw between just
Okay, but you have all the information wrong, okay?
or like pleasuring yourself. Like there's no line you can draw. So how can the Torah say that? Because the Torah is very specific. It usually gives like very specific guidelines. Like for example, for men, you cannot come. It's a guideline. And then the Shoma before that is just like obviously don't masturbate. But like for women, you can't really draw a line. So I don't see that.
Okay, so can I answer it? So the question was.
Another question.
Well, no, one question at a time. The question was, since assumption is that a man is not allowed to masturbate because he's not allowed to spill seed, but he's allowed to masturbate until the point of spilling seed. That is the presumption. That is a wrong presumption, first of all. So therefore, based on this wrong presumption, it wouldn't make sense that women would be allowed to masturbate because women don't have the same level of spilling seed. Okay, I'm going to finish answering it, okay? So it is true that the main sin of a man is spilling seed, which is considered like murdering. Like it's a very serious sin. And because of that, the Torah gives. Now, I am not sure if it's a Torah prohibition the Torah prohibition is to spill seed, I agree. But it's still prohibited even for men to touch themselves in that place. And even when boys are young, they learn to make in a potty, they are taught by their fathers not to touch themselves and hold it and so there will be a lot of little accidents around. And because boys, from the age of boyhood, they're taught not to touch themselves in that place. Okay, and that is obviously if spilling seed is compared to murdering, so of course you can't do something that could bring you to that. And it is not so simple for a man to be able to be such in control of their body that they will be able to masturbate to a certain point, and maybe they won't spill seed at that point.
You need sources.
Okay, thank you.
That's torture.
Okay. Okay, here. It is forbidden, but it doesn't have the source. It's forbidden for a person. What book is that? Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Shabbat 151. It's forbidden for a person to voluntarily cause himself to have an erection or cause himself to think about women. If a person's mind turns to lewd thought, he should divert his attention from these matters to the words of the Torah, which are a loving hind and a graceful doe. Thoughts of illicit relations only become powerful in a heart that's empty of wisdom. A person should be very, very careful to avoid having an erection. Therefore, he should not sleep on his back with his face upward, nor should he sleep facing downward, so that he won't come to touch himself in sleep. Okay? Instead, he should sleep on his side and thus avoid an erection. Two bachelors should not sleep together. One should not watch animals or fowl when they're involved in sexual relation, meaning mating. It's forbidden to ride on an animal without a saddle. Okay? That's for women also.
But reading a whole book is okay.
Right, speak Lashon Hara behind my back and then say it in front of the class.
It's
Right,
not
right.
Here's what I just said. Thank you, Peter. A person is forbidden, this is about a man, a man is forbidden to hold his penis when he urinates. What I was just saying. It's in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. If he's married and his wife is in the same city as he, and she is ritually pure, there's no prohibition according to the letter of the law, because he can always, if he gets aroused, he has his wife so that I don't have any brothers, okay, but I do have a husband and two sons, and they're all very, very tzanua, so we don't talk about these things between me and them, okay, but I learned a lot and I read a lot that men are not in control, and if they cause themselves an erection, even if they're not spilling seed at that moment, they can have what's called a wet dream. And this is the Rabbi Nachman. All the Tikkun Klali is mainly for, it's also good for other things, but he wrote it mainly for men, religious men, who are very careful with all these things. Careful how they sleep, on the side, not on the back, not on the stomach. Careful not to touch themselves in that place when they urinate. Even those that are careful, it can happen in a dream, and it is something that So the tikkun klali is to help that not to happen, and to also help get atonement for that. And so it's not something that's in a man's control. I don't know it from personal experience because Baruch Hashem, no, I'm a woman and I don't have that problem. But I didn't even get to say what I wanted to say before, Dina, which is something else. So the man's seed, when it's what Arizal said, what I wanted to say, and I have that source written down. When a man spills seed, so it's, what's the problem of that? It is potential life that could have become a baby if it was with a woman. But since it's not with a woman, it becomes negative spirits. They become the accusing forces. And now Arizal says, if a woman pleases herself until she comes to orgasm, she also has a secretion. It's not the same. Her secretion cannot make a baby, but it still, he says, it causes negative spirit. This is Arizal. I did not make it up. Now, Juliet.
So I obviously didn't know, or I don't know still all of those rules, but I understand things in life as like, Hashem's creation is perfect, and we have an amazing body, or our body is perfect, and it's like everything is so meduyak, it's so precise of like what needs to be there and what doesn't. And tachlis, like, if there's no place for just pleasure for a woman without creation of life, then I don't think that Hashem would have created us with a clitoris.
Okay, but that is not, that we didn't say that there's no pleasure. I don't want to answer that. Okay, as a married woman, I want to answer it. Okay, okay, good question. So the question is, why did Hashem create the clitoris if a woman is only supposed to have sexuality when she's in intercourse in the vagina? What do we need the clitoris from? Well, that's a question, right? Right?
I didn't hear a word you said, Rebbetzin. All I heard was, I could answer the question, clitoris for the man, for the man, for the man. Can you please repeat it?
Okay, but I was, because there was, so everyone don't make small talk, because then you can't hear it.
Thank you, Rebbetzin.
Okay, so I will say it again. So I'm just repeating the question. Why did Hashem create what's called also the pleasure button for a woman if it's not meant to be used in intercourse? Intercourse which doesn't necessarily involves the clitoris. But can you please not have small talk? If you want to have small talk, so don't be here, okay? Because Bella wants to hear it.
Then they talk shit about it. Okay, go ahead.
But so I want to answer the question, and
it's not during intercourse solely, like.
I want to answer the question though.
It exists.
Okay, so this is a very important question that you ask, and I want to answer it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very simple answer. First of all, woman's sexuality is not linked with procreativity. Her sexuality is not just to bring babies into the world. If that would be so, then during pregnancy and during menopause, there should be no sexual activity for the woman, and that's not so. Actually, the opposite. During pregnancy, the Talmud says, well, it does say in the first 3 months it's not good for the baby and it's not good for the mother. In the middle 3 months, it's good for the mother but not for the baby. In the last 3 months, it's good for the baby and it's good for the mother. So, when obviously during pregnancy, there's no abstinence for married couples to have intimacy. Okay, and also in menopause there is, so it's not linked. It's not just sexuality, it's not just to produce babies. A second thing is that one of the things that man must give a wife, in the ketubah it's written, the 3 things he provides her with. Anyone know what those 3 things are? You know it? Yes?
Clothes and sex.
What was the first thing?
A shelter. Means for clothing.
I think clothing is included in a shelter, but
So
I always think clothing should be included, but it's always only one of the 2.
and
Food and sexual pleasure, which means that a man has an obligation to please his wife in bed. which means he should not just go boom, 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 what he likes. You know, a lot of men like to touch the women everywhere, and he also gets aroused from that. But even if he doesn't, his obligation is to make the woman happy in bed, which means he has to touch her in a place that's pleasurable for her and get her ready, and not just like, you know, penetrate when she's not ready. And that has even a word that's called foreplay. And that's why Hashem gave women that part of her anatomy to help her to, you know, feel that pleasure, because she should feel pleasure to be with the man that she's married to, and that they have a brit nesuim, they have a covenant, mutual covenant, and he has an obligation to please her specifically. Okay, and that's where it's important to have it. But that doesn't mean that there are some heterim about masturbation in the Torah. The heterim that I've heard of is a girl in puberty, and she's exploring her body. That's one, and she's trying to figure herself out. Two, if like they're having difficulties within the intimacy is not going so good in a marriage, that she can, you know, please herself to help her to express to her husband what helps her to feel good, how he should touch her. But it's for the sake of intimacy with the husband. It's not just for its own sake. Because why? Because we're not here just to have pleasure, just to have pleasure. We're here to raise up pleasure to serve Hashem. And it's the highest. And this is what we bring redemption. And this is what the women from Egypt brought redemption by flirting with their husbands when they didn't feel like it, when they were exhausted from slavery. That's what made them the righteous women that brought redemption. And so it's the huge mitzvah of holiness, and it can create, even when it doesn't. And when it doesn't create an actual new neshama into the world, it does bring a neshama into the spiritual world. Like all the years Avram and Sarah, the Zohar says, were together, but they didn't have children. They conceived souls. And any time someone converts, they become a son or daughter of Avram and Sarah. There's a whole soul pool that they conceived when they were together without conceiving actual children, physical children. They conceived spiritual children. So it's very it's a very, very holy act when it's done for the sake of Hashem. And so we're not in this world to just work on to just like act according to our instincts and our pleasure seeking. We're here to raise up these things and overcome our nature. In the end, people that just go by their instinct and their nature, in the end, it's also they can't discipline themselves, and they're acting in a way that won't even give them happiness in the long run. In the long run, you know, people will maybe marry because they have this wonderful feeling between them, and after a little while in a marriage, that attraction wears off. It just does. You know, I have been married for many years, and I know I only been married once, Baruch Hashem, and I don't think, you know, I hope to not to change that. And so, but the initial attraction that maybe can last maximum a year, okay, is not the same after a year. And it's not, I'm talking for myself, I'm also talking for people that I know, other people, married couple. So the true binding between husband and wife that are together, it has to be something much deeper than just that infatuation and that attraction. It has to be built first and foremost on compatibility and spiritual connection, and then only the intimacy comes after. And you don't have to worry that maybe it's not going to work, maybe he's not going to fit, maybe, you know, like, or maybe, you know, it's not going to fill me, I don't know, whatever you think. It doesn't go by the size, doesn't go by all those things. Okay, these things don't need to be tried out in advance. They really don't. Because then you have a strong spiritual connection and also emotional connection, and you want to make it work. You really want to make it work. even if someone really has a problem in that area, it can work. But that, of course, they should disclose that during the dating. That's halachically. If they have a sexual problem, if like a man can't, what is it called, impotence or whatever, so they have to tell that. And then the woman will have to decide if she wants to take that risk. Yes, Juliet.
Let's like if in my head as a person, if in someone's head, there's masturbation is this like very healthy thing that helps you connect to Hashem in the way like maybe okay, I have thought of like different situations. Maybe there's a woman that has problems sleeping, and this is a very good release system. Like it calms you. It releases a lot of stuff. It helps you fall asleep sometimes. So like, what if like that person is like, wow, I really want to do shacharit like tomorrow morning, like at sunrise, but I can't sleep right now, and I'm like, I have like so much things in my head, and I really want to be able to just like sleep well and connect to you tomorrow morning in like a good way. Would that be a way that like this would be making pleasure a holier thing than it is, because I'm connecting it to like, because it helps me get to a place that then I'll be
Okay, I hear the question. So the question is, what if the reason for masturbating is to be able to be closer to Hashem by being able to have a release that helps her fall asleep so she can get up and pray in the morning? So my answer is a few different things. First of all, I do want to say I have a lot of compassion, especially for older single women, because I did not experience that. I got married really young, so I didn't have a need for this. And I do understand, I have compassion. I'm saying it's not an easy thing. I don't want to sound harsh. No. Like, I can easily talk. Like, it's hard for women that are single for a long time and are already doing puberty, which is like 12 years old. So if someone is even only 19, she's been 7 years being a sexual being, let's say, or even sometimes earlier, even at 10 years for some people.
Just add on to
I
Juliet's
really
question.
want to.
Yeah, but then I'm okay. So what?
It's part of Juliet's question. It's just so that you can answer it together, because it's the same question. It's just like a little addition to it. Also, what if the alternative of masturbation is having sex?
Okay, so that's a good question also. So I will say it's the same with everything in the Torah. If something is forbidden and you need to find out if there's a higher value that this prohibition can bend to, that's what you're both saying, okay? Mm-hmm. Sometimes there is a thing like that you have to actually, it says, one of the commentators on Yehuda, when he went to be with who he thought was a prostitute, which is not allowed to be with a prostitute, also in the Torah. Why did he do it? He was Yehuda. He was like a very holy man. So they did say, because he knew the alternative was he was going to spill seed. He no longer had a wife, and passing by her, he was aroused, and he was afraid he was going to go to sleep and spill seed.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's one of the commentaries say that. It's not lechatchila, it's b'diavad that he went to her, to Tamar, that he didn't know was Tamar. And so sometimes, like we said before, some values have to bend to higher values. How do you find out if the value that you have is bending to a higher value? How do you find out?
How?
You ask a shaila. If you're embarrassed to ask it directly to a man, which is I would be, seriously, so you can ask it to the wife, and she can ask it on your behalf without saying who it is, for example, or you write it anonymously, the situation without a name, in a writing that from a different account, or from for a rabbi that's asked a rabbi online that doesn't know you. But I do want to say one more thing about this thing that Juliet brought up, which is, you say, see, there is a little bit of a danger in saying, okay, this is for a holy purpose, because I want to be able to get up and daven to you, so I need to do this thing so I could fall asleep. So a lot of times the Yetzer Hara is very strong, and it has very good arguments and it will convince us that it's true, but it's such a camouflage, it's a chameleon, this Yetzer Hara, and it will tell you, this is the only way that I can wake up and serve you, like other people can wake up and serve without doing that. Like maybe it's an excuse that it's making you think is really, it's the real truth, but it may not really be. It may just be something that comes from the Yetzer Hara that's trying to convince you that it's holy, when it may not be holy. Yes, Juliet?
Nice, thank you very much for your answer. I also have another question that's based on more like the body, because like we get pleasure that is very different from someone that when we're having sex, and we can like also experience pleasure that is different. But I feel like if like, okay, sexual things for women, not only for making babies, sababa, we got that. But then it's like pleasure. If the pleasure was supposed to be only from that relationship between a man and a woman, why wouldn't Hashem would have created something that only the men can access? Just as in the example of women,
Only the man can what?
can access.
You mean only the man?
Because like inside of her vagina, Baruch Hashem, it's like made for their parts
Okay.
quite easily, and like matim, but like the clitoris is something that we can access ourselves.
Well, there's always,
Why would it, if it was only
but you can say that on a man too.
why wouldn't it be like inside of the vagina that only his penis can touch it?
Okay, so that's a good question. Why is the clitoris outside that a woman can touch it herself and not inside? Okay, so I don't have an exact answer, but I have a general answer, which is also the man can touch himself, right? Why didn't Hashem create? Okay, but
He's telling him.
I want to say the general answer to this is Hashem created a lot of things that are tempting so that we can earn our spirituality by overcome the temptation to do the wrong thing. That's why we have free choice. Not everything that is available in the world for us is what we're supposed to do. There's a lot of things that are available that we have to learn to overcome the temptation and do the right thing. And you know how good that feels? It feels better than like pleasing oneself and having that release when you know that you overcame yourself. And I want to say one more thing about the whole sexuality thing. Is it says it about men, but it also applies to women, and it says about men. A man has a limb. I forget exactly the language. If you feed it, it's hungry. If you starve it, it will be satiated. What does it mean? The more you stimulate yourself, the more you're going to need all these release. The more you learn Torah and have, do exercise, do other things that takes you away from focusing on the physical. Like I'm not saying you should be nuns, and Judaism doesn't believe in nuns and monks, okay? But if a person is not in a situation to be married yet, so what do? How do they manage it? And they've somehow managed to get up and pray to their whatever they pray to without, or maybe I don't know, maybe there's things I don't know, okay. But like in general, I'm sure that's not encouraged, okay? In general, there's always exception because people are people. We're fallible. We're not perfect. But it says tzaddik, how's it go? Yipol sheva vakam. I forget exactly how it goes, but a tzaddik falls, sheva yipol tzaddik vakam. 7 times a tzaddik falls and gets back up. It's just because you fell before, it doesn't mean you can't push yourself and take yourself in your hands and start new. And so I want to kind of like make a summarize. I think it's very important to make yourself in a conducive environment for spiritual growth, not to hang. When you're in a place like a Chabad rabbi and a Chabad Rebbetzin, and you can really go out to all these secular people and really be mashpia, really be influencing them for good. That's a wonderful thing to do. But while you're still like in the process of struggling with a lot of the issues that they are, that is out there with those people, you're not ready to go out and be with these people yet. There is a principle in terms of like they take a parable from salting meat. A chicken. You salt a chicken. So you put salt on it so the blood will go out, because you're not allowed to eat the blood, right? So they ask, and sometimes they open the chicken up, that's the mahadrin, and they put salt everywhere, and all the blood drains out. But there are hekshers that are still kosher, but not mahadrin, where they don't cut it open, and you'll see you can get a kosher chicken that's whole and not cut open. And so when you salt it, here you put the salt on top, the blood goes out, but it goes out into the lower part. So how could that be allowed? So the principle is what it takes out, because the lower part is also being salted and it's going out. Whatever it takes out, it will not absorb new ones. So when you are teaching other people and strengthening other people in Torah, you're immune to absorb what they have. That's the secret of the Chabad. And that children stay religious for the most, which is amazing. Even there's no other Jews, so no other people in that level in many places.
What do they do specifically?
They are influencing others, and therefore, just that's like the salt is taking out the blood, also from the bottom. So when new blood comes in from the top to the bottom, they don't absorb it because all of it is going out. So when they teach Torah and they strengthen people in spirituality, they will not absorb the assimilated non-Jewish ways of.
Wow, because if you're giving, you're not in the space of receiving whatever.
Right, but you need to know to be in that place. So I bless all of us. We'll have an early break. I bless all of us to have the strength to withstand a lot of temptations in this world and be strong and find other ways to find more spiritual pleasure, because physical pleasure is what we learn also in the next class is in Megillat Esther, is only when there's a lack of spiritual pleasure. That's when we need that so much. Once we can be filled with Hashem, if you saw in that David play, he was so filled with Hashem, and that's what King David did. He overcame all his sexual desires and brought it just into like spirituality. And in his connection with Hashem, he was high on Hashem, mamash. So we're kind of ending with that. So that, I thought everyone's leaving, so I ended early. But I have 2 minutes left. I just said that the more we have spiritual pleasures, the less we find a need for physical pleasures that are not for the sake of Hashem. The more we have pleasures in Shabbat and connecting with Hashem. And that's why in the Purim story, people fell for fallen pleasures, because they were not close to Hashem in the highest way. So the more we do that, and the more we are in the right environment with people that inspires us to raise us up. And this is what King David did. That's what we saw in that play, how he did that. And that was portrayed very beautifully, how he really connected with Hashem, and because he was a person with a lot of physical desire. This is ruddy complexion. That's one of the signs of that. And he wasn't just like a cold European type person like me. Okay, he was someone very passionate person, but he was able to take all that passion and direct it to Hashem. That doesn't mean he's not having intimacy with his wives, but it means that he did all of his sexuality for the sake of Hashem, not for the sake of just like having pleasure for the sake of having pleasure. Okay, I'm ending now.
Rebbetzin, before you go,
Yes.
Do you see the private message that I've sent to Barot Bat Ayin on here?
The info?
Yes, I think so. It's on here.
I'm going to look at it later because now I'm
Thank you so much.
going to
I
be
wasn't sure if it
teaching.
disappeared with the class. That's fine. Thank you so much.
I'm
See you
coming
next
back
time.
in 15 minutes. All the best. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
then bye. Bye.
Like there's actual like nuts.
Can I eat it? Oh, I ate. Yes! I found an almond tree.